Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Time to Talk, um, our bi-weekly special date when we talk about everything around mediumship. My name is Rafael Caldas. I am your host for the day. And if you joined us in the previous episodes, you notice there's something different. Someone is missing. Where is Guilherme? Well, Guilherme bailed on me today, left me unattended, and here I am. However, I am lucky enough to have very good friends that will join me and help me deliver these episodes today so we can talk a lot about mediumship anyway. So it will not be just a lecture, me talking to you. No. It will be a conversation. So I am very happy to say today we have super special guests. They're almost co-hosts because they've been with us so many times that I think they are going to be promoted as co-hosts very soon, right? Because that's just what they are. So we have tonight Ebony and Pablo.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, like
Good evening.
Rafael said,
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying, as you introduced yourself earlier on, you mentioned that the show must go on with or without Guilherme.
Yeah.
So here we are. It's definitely a big shoe to fill, but we're definitely going to do it.
Yes. Let's try not to have too much fun, otherwise Guilherme is going to be jealous. So, for the ones that are joining us for the first time, this is Time to Talk. Time to Talk is a bi-weekly meeting, date, session, show where we talk about mediumship and bring different topics every time. Today we are going to talk about how to be a better medium nowadays. The main goal for this program is for you guys to participate with us. So go in the comments box, say your hellos, send your comments, send your questions. So we'll bring them up live. The idea is to make this as dynamic as possible and as much of a conversation as possible, not so much as a lecture, as I said. And we appreciate a lot when you send your comments. So please drop them in. Today's episode 34. I cannot even believe that. But anyways, here we are. Before we jump in, let me just say the usual housekeeping. Thank you very much. It's like I'm receiving a prize. I'm giving a speech. I'm being very thankful to everyone behind this program. So I want to say the three broadcasters that are behind Time to Talk. First of all, Spiritist Society of London, SSL, is a study group here in London where we are dedicated to studying Spiritism and spreading the teachings from Spiritism. All three of us here are members of SSL, one way or another. SSL is a member of BUS, British Union of Spiritist Societies, which works like a federation trying to collaborate with the multiple groups here in the UK. BUS has a lot of initiatives also related to disseminating Spiritism in the UK and in the world. Last one, but equally important, Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio is also a network, has been around for 11 years now, I believe, bringing a lot of content about Spiritism in English to everyone. Go to their web pages, Facebook pages, YouTube pages, like them, follow them. You see there's a lot of content there, so you can be always on top of what's going on. Right. Episode 34. How to be a better medium nowadays. As a lot of you will probably guess, usually I ask people who are going to join us for ideas of topics which we could talk about. And today was no different. So what I'm gonna go is I'm gonna say, Ebony, you suggested a theme for us. Why did you suggest this specific? You suggest this specific theme, this specific question? Why do you think it's important for us?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you asked for the suggestion, the first thing I did was to pray about it. I prayed for a few minutes and then I waited, and that idea came to mind. And so I think we ought to know that our benefactors, our mentors, those who facilitate this, who help us to facilitate this program, I think they think that this is an important topic for us to talk about. And somehow I was inspired to share it with you. Having said that, personally, I mean, when I thought about, some of the things that the ideas and, the issues that we can discuss around that topic, I was reminded that, there's so much. I mean, the world is filled with mediums, and people go all over the place looking for information, trying to understand that faculty, and they end up in places, they end up seeking information in places where they probably shouldn't, and it doesn't help. And when we think having the background of Spiritism to remind us that we are progressive beings, and we were given mediumship as an opportunity, a faculty that helps us to progress, helps us to help others along their pathway. What better way to be able to do that than to always think about, how can I be a better person? How can I be a better medium? How can I fulfill that responsibility of helping others? So it is something that I think as mediums we need to keep at the forefront of our mind, and it's a relevant topic.
Pablo, anything to add? Why do you think this question, this topic is important?
I think, well, good night, everyone. I think when we think about mediums, we have to understand first that mediumship is something that is organic in the first place, but it can be always enhanced. So there are different types and levels of mediumship. So some people see, some people just have inspiration, intuition, and they write, they hear. But nevertheless, there is always room for improvement. So I think it's a very relevant theme. Once we all, as spiritists or spiritualist people, or people that are connected to the subject of being in touch with spirituality, that we owe ourselves and the world the strength to try to be better and to serve, if we are gifted, to serve the best we can with the gift that was given to us.
Very good. I was thinking about last week when we talked about where to get the information, right? Where can I get more information about mediumship, about being mediums and so on? And we talked about the Mediums book, and we opened the Mediums book. We went through the table of content. And so I know that now everybody there ran straight to download or buy the book, and everybody who watches us read the whole book already in a couple of weeks, and they're just full of ideas. But I really mentioned something that was quite good. The importance of us bringing this topic up is this is the conversation, is the reflection upon the matter, because reading, sometimes I read something and then of course we absorb a lot of knowledge, but some books, and I think especially a book like the Medium's book, is a book that is better studied. And what I mean by that is reflecting upon what's being given to you, thinking about what questions actually come out of the things I'm reading. And in most cases, you might end up with more questions than when you started reading. So having the discussion, I think it is a very important element, because as you said, Pablo, it's a mediumship. There's always an element of developing it once you understand more how it works. I have a few questions to kick us off, but I want to say hello to people who joined us. We have our super extra special and very missed Elsa. Hello, Elsa. Nice to see you with us. We miss you very dearly. Hope you're doing really well there in Brazil. Let me say hello to Faye. Hi, Faye. Always lovely to have you here with us. And who else? Denise. Hi, Denise. How's it going? Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And please feel free to drop comments and questions and notes. So I'll bring them up. Right. I'm going to go straight in. So we talked about like what we feel the importance behind this topic, but what about answering the question, how to be a better medium nowadays? So I'll start with you, Ebony.
When I think about how to be a better medium nowadays, nowadays stands out to me, the word nowadays, because we're pulled in so many different directions. There's so much happening in the world. We're affected day by day by a lot of different, the difficulties of life, obstacles that we have to overcome. And as mediums, we are not shielded from it. So in today's world, where do we, considering how important it is to not just to be a medium, but to always know that it is something that we're constantly developing, and we have to use it to help others. What comes to mind is Christian vigilance. There's a passage in the gospel where Jesus told his disciples to watch and pray, to be vigilant so that we don't enter into temptation. And that always comes to mind. I don't know that I could be a better medium, personally speaking, without the guidance of Christ and his teachings in my life. So when everything else is happening in the world, in my own personal life, when I feel like I can't go on, those days when, I had obsessions happening in my life and I didn't see a way out, I always had the gospel of Christ to run to help me, to be that rudder, to help me to just be stable. And that is what has helped me to be a better person. There is also that aspect of studying and working to become a better medium. But for me, personally speaking, it is more, it's constant. Like I place more emphasis on becoming a better person, the moral aspect of mediumship, because I always feel that if I become a better person, I'm able to influence others better. I'm able to get rid of those vices and passions that I have within myself as an imperfect person, so that I can be a better instrument, a better co-worker in the work of the good. And the study and development and work is always going to be there. But if I don't cleanse myself, It doesn't matter how much work and how much study I put into my vessel as a spirit. If it is not clean, or if I'm not engaged in the process of cleaning it, I'm only going to put in good things into a dirty vessel. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So my starting point, my recommendation, personally speaking, is to be guided by the light of Christ and to always maintain Christian vigilance in your life.
Very good, very good. Pablo, what would you say? How would you respond to the question?
When I was trying to prepare for today, I was listening to a lecture by Haroldo Dutra Dias, and he was talking about mediumship and Jesus. And he made a very interesting point for me. He said, he used the word exchange a lot. So what are you going to change to a world? So if you are a channel between these two worlds, so what kind of exchange will you be willing to have? So will you choose what kind of inner thoughts, what kind of inner directions you're heading to? And he used an example that I was really mind blown by. He was saying, like, if you are angry with someone and you want to punch someone in the face, be sure that instantly you have like 5-10 spirits around you that will share the same wish, that will take pleasure out of that wish that you have of punching that person in the face. So he said, and this resonates with what Ebony was saying, why don't you ask, what would Jesus do? So, and they say, well, even if you have only 1 week of teachings of the gospel, you already know the answer. So that would be your guidance. So you have to be guided by principles. So the principles that Jesus shares and shared by his teachings in the gospel, and with all the examples in his life, we can have plenty of examples of how to try to be better, not only a better medium, but a better person in all aspects of life. So I would say, think about what kind of your inner self you want to exchange, you want to share, and this will resonate with the vibrations that you're going to be spreading and attracting the spirits that will be willing to communicate with you. And that was another passage that say, like, highly elevated spirits will not come to exchange for lower thoughts. So that's something that you have to work within yourself. And I would say as well, always never quit educating yourself, reading and looking for education. I think this is something that is essential.
You both did something. You both moved very swiftly to being, instead of being a better medium, being a better person. So my question is, why is that? Why did this happen, right? Why are we, when we start talking about how to be a better medium, you automatically want to be a better person?
Well, I think the answer is simple. After we are all mediums, after all, right? Whether we are conscious of it or not, we are all engaging in exchanges with the spiritual realm. We are exchanging thoughts with people who we cannot see, and so that makes us mediums, whether we want to admit it or not. So at the end of the day, if we want to have better interchanges, better exchanges, if we want to attract spirits that would influence us better, we have to change the way that we are, become better people, so that we attract better spirits.
And I would add that, as I was saying in the beginning, there are different kinds of mediumship, and I think the expression "to be a better medium" doesn't necessarily mean to have more power or see further, or it is more of what you can do with it. It's less the tool, but more what you can do with what you've got. So if you think of mediumship as an internet connection, I would say, so you can have like dialed in internet connection, and you can have like super fast internet connection, but well, in one way or the other, it's how you're going to use that, and what for. So what's the purpose? So are you going to open that channel to be receiving poor communication or hatred, or I don't know, all low purposes that spirits can put in the table? Or will you be using, even if it's a dial up one, to get messages of encouragement, of love, of charity, and of help in general to other human beings? So I think to be a better medium would imply in first getting you a better version of yourself to vibrate in the same level of spirits that would bring better messages, or messages that would change people's lives or would give hope to people.
Okay.
I really love that analogy that you made with the Wi-Fi, the internet. Because when you think of the spirit realm, it's actually a constant open Wi-Fi, right? And we don't have to be aware of its existence for it to interact with us. We are constantly, interacting with fellow beings, fellow humans, discarnates as they may be, and they are influencing us. They are influencing our behavior. They are influencing the way we think. They are influencing the events. And so even if we are not ostensive mediums, it is important to be educated about that phenomena, right? It is natural. And if we think again that we are all mediums, because we are all exchanging thoughts, with each other, consciously or unconsciously, I think we would make a better effort to, like you said, Pablo, attract higher level entities that would help us to be better people. That doesn't mean that if we interact with lower beings, we cannot get an education from them, because there are lots of things that they can teach us, right? But what we are trying to emphasize here is to strive for better, because we know that there are elevated beings. We do have our guardian angels who are dying every day for us to become conscious of their existence, and two, commit ourselves to having a very good relationship with them. You know, just imagine if everybody were to wake up and know that, oh my God, I have this dedicated aide, you know, this helper always by my side, you know, who's there and just waiting and dying to just make that connection with me. But it's up to me, right? It's up to me to say, I am going to do this. So again, education is important, and having the right education, having the right information from good sources is important.
So let me flip the question then. Because I think Ebony started talking in the beginning, talking about the main word that she would start on. It was the nowadays. I think that was one of the main ideas when you proposed this subject, which was in today's world. And why do you guys think that it would be more difficult, or what are the additional difficulties or challenges that we have, and therefore, especially from a mediumistic perspective, mediums would have to develop themselves on the right path and so on?
I'll go first. I think just having free access to information and just a wide variety of information, and it's like, again, it's not always accurate. And that attitude that we have nowadays of always wanting to rely on ourselves to fix something, that's self-reliance, self-help culture. So there are lots of people who have experienced mediumistic phenomena in their lives, and the first thing that they do is to go on the internet and try to find a solution, and they end up in the wrong places, right? How easy it is to walk into somebody's a medium's house or a medium's store center or shop, pay a few bucks just to get some information, and that information is probably not what you need. So I think the difficulty that we have now is there's less emphasis on spiritual development and a spiritualization of the individual, and more of an emphasis on quick fixes, quick information. There's a lot of emphasis on entertainment and frivolousness. So it's very difficult to find help and to discipline yourself around the topic of mediumship today.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it works both ways. So if you have all this facility to get access to content, in the same way, you can have wrong content really 2 clicks away. So yeah, I think, and we have to take into account what happened in the past 2 years. We kind of lost our freedom to come and go and go to places, and like centering in Spiritism, we know that several Spiritist centers, they had to close their doors, and not all of them had the means to just go online, and not everybody has this finds it easy to just be online and have this kind of experience online. So yeah, I think it's part of nowadays. So we are evolving, and I think ways of communication are evolving as well. But I don't know if people in a general way are ready or they want to have this kind of interface. So I just referring back to the lecture I was hearing about of Haroldo Dutra's Dias. He was saying that yes, people, sometime in the future we will have like a WhatsApp with spirits, but yeah, sometime in the future it will be something like that. But I think it brings another point of concern, because with today's technology, frauds are so much harder to be identified, don't you think? Like with all special effects and people are faking other people's voices with artificial intelligence. So how to prevent ourselves from being misguided by these things that could be primarily being used for the good and could be used for evil purposes.
Funny that you guys mentioned this, because this week I saw a little video that pretty much the conclusion of the video was that in the past we thought that people would make the wrong decisions because they didn't have access to information. Nowadays, we know that's not the case. That's not the reason, because, as you said, access to information is something that's very easy. Anybody with a mobile nowadays has access to, has the whole world in their hands. But I also feel that there's something else. So the three of us, we were part of a study before Time to Talk, and we were reading the Spirit's book, question 911, that was talking about the power or the strength of passions, and how much willpower we need to develop, we need to have to fight against those passions. And I think that's also something that is at an exponential level now, with everything that we have access to. Again, if you have access to a mobile, have access to pretty much anything, information, anything. And we are so used to that quick recognition or response. And these, I think, can be extrapolated for everything in our lives. So when we are talking about, both of you were talking about becoming better people, and so we could have better ways of connecting with the higher spirits, so we could generate a more positive impact with our mediumship, because in the end, that's our goal. What is the key then? So for that specific improvement, right? To resist our, what does it mean to resist our passions, to strengthen our willpower, to become better people? What does that mean in today's world? It's a philosophical question, but I'll put it out there.
I would say it requires a lot of self-education and renouncing tendencies and all.
What do you mean by self-education?
Because I think because it is so much easier nowadays to just fall into selfishness and indulge ourselves with all the facilities and goodies that we have handy, that it requires a lot of strength to go against these against the waves, I would say. So yeah, like all the facilities, the things are easier to get to. So guilty pleasures are more easy to be accessed, and it can make us weak or weaker, because weak we are all, but it can make us weaker. So it is an exercise of learning again what is really important in life, and getting focus, and trying to get all that it's not important to get out of the way. But it's, as I said before, it's easy to say, not easy to do. At least for me, it's not.
I think we have to remember too that today we live in a world that is set up in such a way that it's more difficult for us to discipline ourselves. Again, alluding to some of the points that you made, Pablo, we engage in a lot of self-gratification. It's very easy to get the things that we want when we want it at our fingertips. And we no longer have those triggers or things in our lives that would cause us to sit back and reflect, engage in self-reflection, engage in meditation. And I'm not just talking about just, that whole culture that we have now, where people they say, okay, well, we're doing yoga today. It's much more than that, where you have a lot of questions about life, and do we have situations? What situations do we have in our lives now that would force us or cause us to sit down and think about, why am I here? Where am I going? That would have us to, have that discussion with ourselves. We have so much distractions. Our kids now are being taught about life from TV shows, TV programs. When we think about entertainment, we immediately think about Netflix instead of perhaps maybe picking up a book and reading. And in the process of reading that book, we may start to reflect on some important questions that we never thought about. It's very, very difficult to live that kind of life nowadays. The pandemic helped, I think, to do that, to cause people to stop and think and reflect, look up at the sky and ask, okay, can somebody go up as far as possible and touch it? Why is it there? Go to the beach, look at the horizon. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing a line. Is there really a line? Ask these kinds of questions. It's very, very difficult to do that in today's society. So you'd find today when people engage spirituality is usually because they've had some kind of suffering in their life. Something dramatic has happened to cause them to have their backs against the wall and realize, oh my goodness, like life is staring at me and I don't know where to go. So you start to look up. Up meaning you look to God or to some force that is greater than yourself. And a lot of people have come to realize that they are mediums from having those kinds of examples and interactions in their life. So I think in short, what I'm saying is, if we live a lifestyle where we allow ourselves to have deep and inner reflections, we would come to that point where we realize we have to have a kind of spiritual revolution within ourselves and start to become better people. The doors would start to open up.
Running the risk of being called a TikTok philosopher, I am going to share two things I saw on I think it was TikTok this week, and one of them was the how much it was this little video talking about how much depression, burnout, and bad feelings that we have nowadays. It comes also from lack of purpose. A lot of people, I think it was mostly focused on the professional side of life, talking about how the relationships that people had with their jobs was lately people try to find the purpose. But what's the purpose that I have in this position, in this company, or whatever? And how much that purpose takes value in how you feel, your emotions, and so on. And of course, we can easily take that from the professional life to our lives. At the end of the day, that's the most important one, right? Our personal lives.
Yeah.
So if you think about the purpose, what is the purpose that I have? This again, go back to the philosophical questions that we're not asking ourselves, that we need to ask ourselves, like Ebony mentioned. And to find that purpose, what do you want to be the purpose of your life? What does that mean to you in terms of the impact you're going to generate for the ones around you, for your family, for your friends, for your neighbor, whatever, for yourself? How much of that purpose is fulfilling something purely material and only for yourself? Those are the questions then that the reflection will start to show faces and different sides of you that might be difficult to face, but it'd be difficult to assume, and you have to have the courage to understand, you know what, I have this and this characteristic, I need to work on those. But without that moment of reflection, without that moment of finding the purpose, it will be difficult for you to spot, to identify. So that was the first one. The second one is also shared with you guys in the previous study. It was about the intention, right? That I read. It was just a little meme or something that said that we achieve much more in life if we have intention behind our actions. If we just kind of live life to take us around and guide us as things happen, we might and probably will achieve less because we are not putting the discipline, the intention behind our actions. We're not prioritizing actions that will take us to where we want to go and so on. And that is the same thing again. It goes back to the purpose. Once you reflect upon your purpose, once you identify based on your self-reflection, what are the things that you want to change or you should change, then you need to put intention behind it. Okay, so how am I going to do that? How am I going to, again, develop the plan to get to that stage that I want? And I think I already said the word. I think the word that comes to mind is courage, right? We need to have the courage to face ourselves and understand I have these flaws. I need to work on them. Let me identify where I'm not strong enough to resist, so I can try to find ways of developing that strength. There's something else. Something that we are touching very lightly, but in the end, I think is the key for everything, which is our thought. We're talking about reflection, that's thought. We're talking about deep inner reflections, that's what Ebony said, it's thought. Pablo talks about how to identify what's right, what's wrong. Again, thought. All comes from reasoning. But reasoning, again, if we are just living life as it comes and we are not putting the reasoning, the critical thinking behind, we are leaving our thoughts to chance. And then we go back to the point, right? We are all mediums. We are all susceptible to the influence of spirits. If we are not used to bring this reasoning in our minds when we are facing new ideas, when we're facing new situations, we're not gonna, it's like a muscle. We're not gonna have that muscle strong enough to identify, oh no, this makes sense. This thought makes sense to follow. This thought makes sense to pay attention to. This one, it doesn't make sense. I need to let this one go. This is how we become better people. This is how we become better mediums. It's learning how to use our reasoning, our thought, as putting intention behind our thoughts, behind our reasoning. I wrote everything you guys said, and that's kind of where I got to. Now, all of these things are quite big, right? We're talking about philosophical aspects of our lives. So how do we bring this to a practical approach, right? Okay, we have a question. Stop, everyone. We have a question. Faye dropped a question for us. Let me bring it in. I think, to be honest, I think it's quite similar to what I was about to ask. How do you apply these conclusions about an attempt to lead a selfless life to the work as a medium? The floor is yours.
I'll go first. Let me think about this for a minute. Rafael, you mentioned something, you brought up a very important point. It's actually something that I've been thinking a lot about in the last couple of days, and which is my sense of purpose. Not just why I am here as an individual, but as a medium. What do I do with this mediumship? Not everybody who is an ostensive medium, by the way, is encouraged to practice mediumship, because as we know, there are lots of people who have unbalanced mediumship, and for various reasons, they should not be practicing mediumship. But I have had to sit down and think, because I've had moments when certain thoughts were thrown at me, oh, you're useless, you're not doing anything with this, and blah, blah, blah. And I had to come to a point where I looked at myself and realized that I am not just a medium by accident. This is something that I signed up for before I reincarnated. And even if I get off my path, for whatever threw me off my path in my life, if I set that intention, again, going back to what you were saying, Rafael, and decide that I am going to, I always say the higher ups, the people who were there with me in the beginning, who helped me write my life letter, and who committed to helping me when I stumble on my way here, to always be there for me. I'm going to go on my knees and I'm going to call out to them. I'm going to ask them. I don't even have to ask them if they remember me. Hey, do you remember me? They're always there with me. And I am going to ask them to help me to realize my purpose for being this medium. And they did come to my aid. And I don't have to be well known. I don't have to be this powerful medium. No, all Jesus has ever asked of me is, what do I have? This is what he asked the disciples before he worked the miracle of, multiplying the fishes and the loaves. What is it that we have? And when he comes to me, when the higher ups come to me, they always ask, what is it that you have? What I have is mediumship. And this is what I am going to give. And as little as it may be, it is something. And I am able to help every weekend, every Saturday. When I set my goal and I say, come what may, I am going to be there on a Saturday to help, as little as it may be. I don't have to sit and quantify how much I'm helping. I just know that I am applying this mediumship. I am being useful. I am doing something constructive to help someone else. And by doing that, I am able to, without even thinking about it, um, to practice charity. And when you're practicing charity, what are you doing? You're thinking of others before yourself, right? You're bit by bit, it becomes a habit. And so if I have to travel 2 miles, 3 miles, 10 miles every day just to help somebody else, it becomes easier because I've been taking these little steps every weekend, right? So when you sit and you think about, you meditate and you think about the fact that you are here with purpose, not just by accident, and you set a goal and you say, I am going to live my life, and I'm going to accomplish my reason for being, you will get the help that you need to gradually rid yourselves of all of these, vices and passions and selfish agendas, and think about others before you think about yourself.
Pablo, would
Yeah.
you add anything?
It just came to my mind. I think it's my favorite expression in Spiritism, which is outside of charity, there is no salvation. So, and when we think that everyone out there is a medium, being it ostensive or not, God didn't give you this gift for you to be detached from the herd, or you're not a medium because you will be powerful, or you will be part of a secret society, or you will be able to use it against your enemies or whatever. It's the contrary. You have to be null, because you are serving a greater good. Call it like being a source to write a book, like Chico Xavier did 400 of them or something, or people that don't have ostensive mediumship but can, as we were talking earlier, educate themselves into being people that follow good, and that people that can be a source, for instance, for good advice, and can prevent people from committing serious or banal mistakes in life. So in the end, that would be that's what they will ask of you. What have you done with what you have been given? So what have you done? So it all comes to the purpose, and we are talking about being a better medium nowadays. And nowadays, it is extremely hard to not get yourself caught in that sensation, that feeling of being empty, because everything is now and now. Like when you think of all these young generations that are out there working, and they cannot stay 6 months in the same job because they want to earn more and more and more, and the natural progression of things cannot happen because they cannot wait. Everything is so instantaneous that things has to be as up. And so I think it's an extra layer of difficulty nowadays. So everything is in the speed of internet. So just let's just think of what these instant message apps have done to us. So when we compare ourselves to, at least me, because I'm an old person, so 30 years ago, if we were not found at home or people wouldn't find us in some place, they would wait and we would call whenever we get a paid phone or whenever we would get home, and things would get solved, and we would give answers in the given time. And now people end relationships because someone viewed the message and didn't reply in seconds, or. So I hope I'm not diverting too much of the matter, but I think it's just a fair point of how harder it can be in this world that we live now, and that we are judging things by the second, not by the year or by the decade or the century.
I agree with both of you were mentioning something, and it just took me back. We always talk about the responsibility that comes with mediumship, and in the end, what you need to do with your mediumship is work it. Of course, if it's unbalanced, as Ebony said, you should probably find a place or a group that knows about mediumship. They can guide you, help you. Need to study. Anyways, you need to get your mediumship in a balanced state so you can work with your mediumship, because in the end, that's what you have it for. But we always come back to the same key, which is work. And Ebony was talking about my commitment to Saturday. I have this specific group, and I work with them and so on. And what is actually behind, you touched it for a little bit, but what's actually behind the commitment to work? Behind the commitment to work, if it is a 1 or 2 hours a week that you're giving to a specific group, no matter what happens, you're going to be there because you're committed and so on. You are, as Ebony said, not only training to put other people's needs before yours, because you will be there regardless, because you need to be there to help others. You will be giving up you're practicing your selflessness. You're giving up your time that you could be with your family, that you could be with your friends, that you could be sleeping, that you could be playing video games, that you could be doing work, you could be doing whatever. But that time is no longer yours. You gave it away. You are practicing the reasoning, right? Because in a session like that, you study, you prepare, you get in contact with different situations, we hear about new ideas. You're also practicing your own well-being from the contacts you have with the different groups of spirits. You appreciate and you understand a bit more how much that influence, how much that energy, how much your thoughts, your emotions, the way you face your challenges impact yourself. So when we say work, look at how many things we are behind that. When you're saying we need to work, it needs to be work, because all of those items are hidden behind work. See, that's why it's such a an important message when you talk about what to do with mediumship. We got to the end of today's episode. I think we are running out of time. Literally have like 15 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow both of you, if you want to have like a close remarks, it will be like a no more than 1 minute close remarks. Ebony can go first because she was going first always.
Yeah, I just want to say that in spite of all of the challenges that modern life brings, and that affects our mediumship, we always have one resort that we can rely on for help and assistance, and that is always prayer. So no matter how difficult things may seem, always resort to prayer as a medium so that you can get the help that you need, because we're never alone.
Pablo?
Well, I would say if you don't have the resources to study or to try to get higher education in these matters, just stick to your consciousness and stick to goodness, because this will always guide you to a place of good, if I can put it like that.
Very good, very good. What I'm gonna say, just in as you said it, in doubt, ask yourself, what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Right. It has been lovely to have you here. Let me give the announcements before I say our final goodbyes. Let me bring them up. As usual, next Tuesday, when we don't have time to talk, you have the study of the book Astral City or No Solar. Have the details for the Zoom here. You can just log in and join us. Every Saturday, we have the study of the Medium's book. Same thing, you have the details here if you would like to join us. We are going item by item the Medium's book. It's quite an interesting group, loads of questions. Then every Wednesday we have Coffee Break here with Kardec, hosted by Munir. And also every Wednesday we have Spiritual Light at different times because it's broadcasted everywhere. But anyways, that is what I had for today. I want to say thank you very, very much to Ebony and to Pablo for being here with me today. Guilherme will be so jealous, but what can I say? He's lost. And I want to say good night. Thank you very much, and hope to see you guys soon.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.